mince words when it came to what I'd done to Zach. He said that it had been especially cruel of me to deprive him of the chance of being a father on purpose even after I got to know that he'd been looking for me after I left. It was horrible of him to cheat on me, but that still didn't excuse what I'd done because I'd made sure that I kept him away from his son for almost a decade and he never would have found out either if someone didn't snitch on me. I'm still trying to figure out who'd do such a horrible thing to me. And now I'm just really confused about whether what I did was right or wrong. I know it was unethical and kind of messed up, but to be fair, so was cheating on me. That wasn't fair to me, and what I did wasn't fair to Zach, so I think it's even for us, but Mike doesn't agree and thinks that I owe Zach a huge apology. He believes that I need to apologize and hope for joint custody at best if he does, but I'm not sure if that's the only way out of this. I don't think he has any legal right over my son because he's never been involved in his childhood. Granted, he was never given the opportunity to do so, but there's a good enough reason for that as well. It's just all messed up right now, and that's why I'm here on Reddit right now, because what I think I need is a fresh perspective. So Ida, for never telling my boyfriend that I was pregnant and leaving him without an explanation after I found out that he'd been cheating on me. Update 1. Hey, guys. It's been a week since Zach showed up and I've come to find out a couple of things since then. This is going to be a bit of a lengthy update because there are a lot of things that I have to talk about. First and foremost, I'm not giving up custody of my son. Not even partial custody, because Zach really doesn't deserve it. I know the comment section on my original post was pretty divided on whether what I did was alright or not, but I've decided I'm going to focus on the people who believe that it was totally justified in light of what Zach had done. He'd cheated on me, and not just with anyone. He'd cheated on me with his ex-girlfriend whom he'd been with just before he'd started dating me. They'd only been together for a couple of months and had broken things off when Zach realized he just wanted something casual, and then 4 months later, he started dating me. So for him to throw away a 3-year relationship for a fling that didn't even last 6 months was very insulting to me. Not just that, it was wrong on every conceivable level for him to lie and call me clingy, needy, and heavily emotionally dependent on him and whatnot. He'd said a lot of these things while complaining to his ex about me in the texts, and I still distinctly remember all of it. None of these things were true in the slightest, but he just said it anyway to gain sympathy from his ex so she'd hook up with him. I'd only ever asked him about his thoughts on getting married because I wanted to make sure he wanted it at some point in the future, and I think after 3 years of being together, it's okay for me to ask, but the way he freaked out after that was a clear indication that he wasn't ready for anything. If he wasn't even ready to commit to me, then I really don't think he'd have agreed to commit to a baby. And honestly, at the end of the day, I was in no way legally obligated to tell him I was pregnant. Maybe it was unethical, but it was what I had to do to lead a good life, and I don't see anything wrong with it. If he'd been a good, decent man and not cheated on me, then we probably still would have been together and had a kid together, but he chose to screw things up for himself and cheat on me, so now neither does he get me nor does he get his son. I don't care what anyone else thinks. I know that I did what was best for me and I refuse to feel guilty about it. I've also found out who was the one who leaked my information to Zach, and it's none other than my mother. I was shocked, but when I finally told her about Zach showing up at my door, she admitted to telling him without even me having to prompt her. I wasn't even going to accuse her because I really didn't think that my mother of all people would do such a thing. I just called her up 2 days ago for advice and to talk to her in general since we hadn't spoken in a while because she seemed too busy. Now I know she wasn't busy, but she was avoiding me on purpose out of shame. She told me that she'd contacted Zach after a friend of hers had told her that he had been promoted to vice president of the company he used to work in. Her friend happened to know Zach's mother, so they were connected like that, and for years after I left, Zach would try to reach out to my mother, but she'd kept her mouth shut and avoided him. But this time, she reached out to him without even asking me, and her reason to finally let him know about his baby was that she thought I wouldn't be able to handle the cost of raising a son on my own as time went on, and that Jack needed his dad to be in the picture now that he was getting older. She didn't consult with me first because she knew I would have hated the idea of that, so she just went ahead and did whatever she thought was right. I couldn't believe it, and I still cannot bring myself to believe that my own mother would do something like this to me. She knew how torn up I was after Zach's cheating episode and how long it took me to move on from that. She insisted that she'd done this for my own good and that I'd thank her later, but when I told her that because of what she'd done, Zach was now demanding full custody, she had no defense for herself and just went silent. I'm not as rich as Zach right now, that's something I cannot deny. I did a fair bit of stalking after my disastrous phone call with my mother and found out that he was now married to his ex, so he could commit to people who are not me. He's doing well in his life and he lives in a nice house, seems pretty well off and all that's really good for him. But I'm leading a nice life on my own and I don't think I need anyone's help, especially Zach's help after I rejected him so long ago and haven't even spoken to him in 7 years. I don't know what possessed her to screw me over like this, but I know that I'm never, ever going back to speaking to my mother ever again. I just cannot, because what she did to me was immensely disrespectful. She just assumed that I would appreciate the help and told Zach my whereabouts without even thinking about the consequences. I'm lucky that Zach's just a slimy, entitled douchebag and not a psycho or something, because then my mother's decision to tell him everything would have cost me a lot more. I've blocked her everywhere and I'm not planning on unblocking her anytime soon. Or maybe even ever. As for the custody case, I honestly don't think he stands a chance because it's been 7 years and my son's been just fine without him. At most, he can probably get visitation rights or maybe even partial custody if his lawyer is great, but I really don't think he'll be successful in getting full custody at all. And he has nothing on me either, like I can accuse him of cheating, which is why I left and never told him about Jack. But I've never demanded any child support or anything, so he has nothing on me. I even have all the pictures of his conversations with his ex back from when I first found out. I'd never used it back then, but I'd taken photos just in case I ever needed them or if I maybe wanted to expose him at some point. I never used them, but they're going to come in handy now. I've been in talks with a lawyer for a couple of days and we're going to respond to the custody petition soon. Mike isn't